Hello, good night, District 3. Good night, Anguilla.
Good night.
This Sutcliffe Hodge is the first candidate that I have officially endorsed for the 2010 general elections. And we are not here to say anything negative about Mr. Rogers. We all love Mr. Rogers. We love Mr. Rogers' family, and we are not here to say anything negative about him. But it is time, after 10 years, it is time to change the United Front administration. And the reason why I'm saying that is this. If anyone have opened the pages of the Memorandum of Agreement that was signed on July the 7th, 2009, they will hold their heads. Because we all can understand when you give concessions, but you are giving concessions for the next 20 years. But besides that, in the Memorandum of Agreement, it stipulates that Capjaluca can bring in their own construction plant. It stipulates that Capjaluca can bring in their own heavy equipment, duty-free, if the prices in Anguilla is not competitive. Competitive with who? So all of those heavy equipment operators who have paid their duties and who have their equipment sitting on the sidewalk, they will continue to sit on the side. The Memorandum of Agreement also stipulates that Capjaluca can not only bring in the contractors and the big staff, but they can bring in all the other workers as well. This was signed on the 7th of July 2009. It also gives Capjaluca duty-free concessions retroactive to 2008, 1st of July 2008, which means that we owe Capjaluca money. And as Mr. Duncan just said, we also have to put in a road for Capjaluca within 18 months of the signing of the Memorandum of Agreement. But I think that this is something that the United Front, I'm very sure, can defend. Because I listened keenly yesterday as the Chief Minister said that these investors could have gone anywhere in the world. They could have run out to St. Lucia. So I have a strong feeling that the heavy equipment would have been used to dig up Capjaluca and take it to St. Lucia. Because I cannot believe that they can rightfully think that the investors would have taken Capjaluca and take it to St. Lucia anywhere else in the world. Come on. Who do they think they are fooling? District 3, we have been fooled for a very long time. It is time that we stop being fooled. And I know that there are people who have sentimental feelings toward the Minister of Social Services. But the Minister of Social Services is the Minister of Social Services. And when you're the Minister of Social Services, you have responsibility for health and education. When asked what has been the Minister of Social Services' greatest accomplishment, he replied, roads. I thought that was the Minister of Infrastructure's role. But be that as it may, people are asking me, why is it that I have endorsed Sutcliffe Hodge? Why? If Sutcliffe Hodge can run cable and wireless in this day and age, he can run any ministry in Anguilla. We need to elect people with a history, a track record of accomplishment. Why is it that we have to go in the states every election and bring down somebody to run? As far back as we can remember, we have been bringing people back here to run. Victor Banks, Osborne Fleming, the list goes on and on and on. We need people on the ground who can get in government and hit the ground running. As I said before, Mr. Rogers is my good friend. And I asked Mr. Rogers about running the ministry, and he said it took 3.5 years to learn how to run a ministry. We need, as I said before, people in office to hit the ground running. And Sutcliffe Hodge can hit the ground running. If anyone wants to challenge that, they can say that he's short, they can say that he's light-skinned, they can say that he's a Hodge, they can say all of these things, but no one can question his ability to run a ministry in Anguilla. This is what we need. We need people in government who knows how to do these things. We need people in government who can sit around the table and negotiate on Anguilla's behalf. I particularly remember in 2005, 2006, there were some negotiations between Capjaluca and a company by the name of Antil and Genpam. And the Antil company made a proposition that they would give 20% of Capjaluca, no money in. It means the government of Anguilla, and whenever you think of the government of Anguilla, think of yourself. Because irrespective of which government goes in office, they are there to represent you. So the government of Anguilla would not have to put in any money into the 20%. So you would not have to finance the 20%. When I read the memorandum of agreement, I noticed that the 20% was still there, but we had to pay $238.10 a share, which amounts to tens of millions of dollars. When I asked the Minister of Finance, why is it that we have to pay for this at this time, when these companies were offering it free? He said during the course of negotiations, things change. But why is it that everything has to change to the benefit of the developer? Why is it that we cannot have things that benefits us? Why when we negotiating these memorandum of agreements, given 20 years, 30 years concessions, no taxes, and it also says when corporate and income tax is implemented in Anguilla, they will be exempted for 20 years. So next year, as promised to the British government in the letter by Curtis Brand dated October 1st, 2009, when they implement all of these taxes on you, these rich multi-billionaire investors will be exempted. So everybody will be paying taxes except these people. And I want to ask you, if you really think that that is fair to you, it cannot be fair to you. Because the government of Anguilla is over $170 million in debt. Over $170 million in debt. And a lot of you have heard Mr. Hodge talk about Social Security and the fact that Social Security, and let me explain this a little more, because I think Mr. Hodge tried to explain it on Saturday, but I want to explain it a little more for you to listen tonight. And I'm sure that Cool FM is here tonight, so this is being broadcast all over the world, and we are talking facts, because we know that the United Front have a policy. Sue them to keep them shut, keep their mouth shut. Every time somebody opens their mouth and there's a little deviation from what is the facts, they sue you to keep your mouth shut. So I want to be very careful in how I put it across. The government of Anguilla wanted Cinnamon Reef, but they can't borrow. The British government have already told them that they have exceeded their borrowing guidelines. This is in the letter by Curtis Brand for anyone to read if they really want to. Social Security form a company, an investment company. Social Security, our money. We didn't know anything about it, our money. To buy Cinnamon Reef from National Bank of Anguilla. Cinnamon Reef was on auction. The winning bid was $2.75 million. The person who won the bid didn't have the money, so it went back into National Bank of Anguilla.